Welcome to the next lecture on Introduction to IPR. This is a very important lecture because today the world is always worried about protecting their intellectual property, and when you are in the domain of innovation, this becomes very important, protecting the rights. It is not only protecting the rights, and you also have a right to sell it to whomever you want. You can also have a partnership. So, how do you do it legally? The other question comes to your mind is, suppose if I apply in one country, what happens to my patent in the other countries? Should I country wise patent it, or should I take something like universal? I take one and then do it. So, that is what we will be covering in this lecture called Introduction to IPR. The content is Introduction to IPR. We will see copyrights, types of copyrights, patents, specification of patents, and patent registration procedure. Is it easy? Is it tough? Now, all the governments across the globe have put lot of initiative in making this process faster, both in terms of filing, then in terms of review, and last in terms of publishing, saying that yes, you are the author of this IPR. So, this is also very important. So, we will try to cover in brief all these topics. Intellectual property right. It is a legal right that protect creation or invention. It includes patents, trademarks, copyrights, and trade secrets. So, today we look for patents. Patents can be in two forms. It can be a process patent, it can be an idea patent, it can be a design patent, etc., etc., etc. So, protecting your idea by giving a legal document against it is intellectual property right. So, type of IPRs, one is copyright. Copyright protects the original creative work. For example, you draw or you sketch or you try to write a poem or you try to play a music. So, there is creativity, and this creativity is original. So, then they try to protect the original work. So, when they try to protect the original work, it is called as copyright. Literature, music, film, art, software, etc. are part of copyright. If somebody owns a copyright and if you want to use it, it is better you write it to him and ask his permission. He can give you free permission, or he might say, please play an X amount for this, which is part of the deal I allow you to use. Then the third one can be, I will allow you to use it only once, for which you pay X amount. One can be perpetual, one can be for every use. So, you can try to have it. So, literature, music, film, art, software, etc. can fall under copyright. For example, I try to take a photo of maybe a bird which is flying. Wonderful bird, it is trying to flap. I try to capture a photo. Now, the owner of the camera, maybe it is me, but the photograph is being taken by you. So, now the copyright holds is only for you and not for me. I had the camera, but there is nothing else I did, but the intelligence what you applied the time and the effort you spent in understanding the bird and the flapping mode, and then you took it. So, that intellectual has to be protected. So, the bird which tries to flap and you try to take a photo of it, now the photograph becomes a copyright which you can access. Now, people are becoming more and more aware of this intellectual property right. How do I use it? How do I legally use it? All these things they are now trying to come into picture. It provides exclusive rights to the copyright owner. If there is a photo and there is a bird which is flapping in the photo, you have taken that and now you hold the 100% right. It is left to you to say, please give it to Ram, please give it to Sham, please give it to Sita, Geeta, Nalini, whatever it is, you give. You can also say, please do not give it to Ram, Sham, Rita, Geeta and Nalini. Leaving them, you can give it to all others. That is also possible. So, you hold the right to whom you can give and whom you need not give, whom you feel they are a potential threat for you in the business. So, that is also possible. So, patents are grant exclusive right to the inventor. It can be process, for example, a service, you can get it done. Okay. A software can be done. A code, a complete code which has lot of nitty-gritties into it. If you want to hold the rights, you can have a copyright, right. So, process, service, right, and then you can try to have a design, and some countries also give it for idea, right. So, it can be there. So, for example, there was a inventor who got his patent for swing. So, generally what we do is we assume that a swing is there, the swing will go here to here, right. This gentleman came up with a new design and he said, my swing will go just round 360 degrees. So, it will go up and then it will come down. So, this is an innovative idea which nobody has thought of, but up to an arc, yes, many people have thought of. So, this is grant exclusive rights to inventors, where process, service, design, idea can be done. Sometimes you have a wonderful idea, you are not able to prove it, but you want to freeze the idea, it is possible idea, and then you can say, please give me time, I will prove it within 1 year time. So, then that is called as provisional patent. For 1 year the idea will be held with you until the time you convert this idea into a original product or a process. So, till that time it is called as provisional patent. Suppose 1 year passes away and then you are still not able to do it. So, then this idea becomes to public domain, you do not have a opportunity to claim it, and nobody else have the opportunity to claim it, because now it has come into the public domain, the idea and the drawing. Okay. Prevents others from using or selling the invention. Typically, it is valid for 20 years. Depending from country to country to country, this 20 is some countries 25, some places it is 65, some places it is 10. So, why 65, why 25? Some countries feel that 25 years is a enough time period for somebody to make money out of his invention, and rest he should open it to public. For example, when rapid prototyping came into existence, the FDM process machines costed few crores, few $100,000. But now the same machines you are able to get it for maybe $10,000 or $5,000 or $3,000, $50, a small version of it you are able to get it. Why? Because this time period of 25 is crossed. Now, that comes into the public domain and anybody can use that idea in developing machines. So, till that time period of 20 years, they say it is enough time given to a particular person to take money out of it. So, that is why they give 20 years, otherwise they hold it for rest of their life. What are trademarks? Trademarks are distinct signs, symbols or words identifying and distinguishing goods or services. For example, Nike has something like a tick sign. Okay. So, Google has something. Then you can say Microsoft has a logo, something like this. So, distinctive sign, logo, symbol or words, it can be there. Say for example, if some company says dare dream. That's it. Dare dream for fortune, for best fortune, or future dare dreamers. So, all these things are words, right. You can make a word and also you can get a trademark for it, like a sentence or a phrase which is like a punch line, which can be used for impressing anybody. So, the advertising company, what they will do is they will buy those punch lines and then they will try to use it in their advertisement for any product of their choice. So, identifying and distinguishing goods for or services from rest of the people, we just say, for example, Nike, it will be like this. By just looking at the symbol, you know it is Nike. For example, you can also have a symbol like this. You can also have a symbol like this. You can have a symbol like this, anything of your choice. You can have a symbol like this, right, and some you can have, and you can also have some cartoon or some sentences I have already told. So, you can also have some, and here you make it like a army cap, and here you can make something like this, whatever it is. So, all these things can be put under trademark. So, it helps consumers recognize the brand. So, wherever I see a tick brand, I know it is a Nike shop. Very far off distance, I just have to put a tick, and then this becomes Nike brand. This becomes McDonald's. This becomes some XYZ. This becomes something like KFC. This becomes like a bakery shop, whatever it is, a chain bakery shop across the country, maybe, right. So, all these things are called as trademarks. So, types of IPR, you can see copyrights, you can see patents, and you can see trademarks. Copyright for literature, music, film, art, software, etc., etc., etc. And when it comes to trademarks, it can be symbols, design, or words. Poems are copyrights. Trade secrets. Trade secrets are confidential business information which provides a competitive advantage, includes formula, customer list, market strategies, etc. For example, Pepsi, Coke, the formula in which they make the Pepsi, Coke, Mirinda, or the formula through which they make McDonald's, some chicken item, or formula through which they make a recipe for a pharmaceutical company, right. So, these are all confidential business informations, these are trade secrets. Okay. So, this provides a competitive advantage. It is told that at any given point of time, to open the locker of Pepsi trade secret, whatever it is kept there, 6 or 7 of the CEOs will have to access to it to get the trade secret out, and nobody will know what is the key and other things. So, some companies, pharmaceutical also does the same thing. Industrial design, it protects the aesthetic aspects of an article, for example, shape, pattern, color, etc., etc., etc. For example, if you can see a key is like this. Okay, this is a key. What if I make a pen like this? You have a clip, and then here I put the tip, and then I remove this portion. So, here it is an article where the shape, pattern, color, etc. are protected, and then you try to get it. See, the other thing is, suppose you are trying to make a sari. In a sari, there are 100 different types of saris, and if somebody comes and says, I will make the entire epic of Ramayana or Mahabharata, then the shape, the pattern, and the color you can apply for industrial design, right. If somebody makes a fan cleaner, so industrial design. Somebody makes a gyno inspection device, industrial design, right. And then purpose of IPR is to encourage innovation, creativity and economic growth. Why economic growth? Because I design an idea, I design a solution for needy people. Now from that I try to convert it into a product, and that product can be sold. So now by selling the product you have an economic growth. There are two ways of doing it. So here is a need statement, here is a company which makes product, and here is another company which makes product. For example, I understand the need statement, I convert the problem into a solution, a good solution. Now my solution is not perfect such that I can take it to the market. Then comes a company 1 or a company 2. This company 2, what it does is it goes to company 1 and says, please share me the idea, I will try to convert your idea into a product which can be sold in the market. So this person who made the product in the first stage will try to sell his idea to industry number 2 such that he gets his money, and this person will start working on improvising the idea. And many a times there can be products, if it is a competitive product to company what is there 2, then what they do is they take one, they buy one, and then they kill one and make sure that the item number 2 is popular all the time. So for that also they try to do it. So economic growth, when you try to sell the product or when you try to sell the patent, you make a profit. So that's what is economical growth. The next one is provide legal protection and incentive for inventors and creators. It provides legal protection. It provides legal protection and incentive for inventors and the creators. It enables individual and organizations to profit from their creation. Okay. So IPR means it is protection and making money, in a legal fashion. Next one is copyright protection. Original creative works, examples like literature, music, film, video, art, software, computer programming, and architectural design. All these things are examples of copyright. So copyright gives the creator exclusive right to reproduce the work. For example, you made a work, so maybe the birds are flapping. So this is a photograph you took. Now you allow this photograph to be used in various visiting cards, various calendars. So then that becomes a sale for it. So that's what is reproducing the work. So many a times you will see they will put a copyright and say whatever it is, Mr. XYZ at the year 2021 or something like that. Okay. So then it is reproducing the work, distribute the copies, display or perform the work publicly, and the last one is create derivative work based on the original. So for all these things the copyright gives a creator exclusive right. So one, to reproduce, distribute, display and create derivative works based on the original. Copyright protection is automatic upon creation. No registration is required. No registration is required. Copyright symbol C and notice are optional but recommended, this one. Many companies don't put it, but it is always recommended that please put C, so that the rest of the world will understand that this idea has been copyrighted. Duration of copyright generally lasts for life of the creator plus 70 years. Creator lasts for the life of the creator plus 70 years. It also varies. This also varies from country to country, right? Then varies for anonymous works, cooperate creations and other cases. It varies from anonymous works, it varies for anonymous works, corporate creations and other cases. Fair use and fair deal allows limited use of copyright work without permission. They generally allow. For example, music. People try to take the music and then they play in several parties. So, allow limited use of copyrighted work without permission for the purpose such as criticism, comment, news reporting, education. It is used. Factors considered are purpose, nature, amount, effect on the market is being taken to make it as a fair use or a fair dealing. The copyright infringement, moment you start breaching it, it is called as infringement. So, it is unauthorized use of copyrighted work is which is not permitted, which is not ethical, can result in legal consequences and penalties, can result. So, types of copyright licensing, there you will see always a statement called as all rights reserved. So, the all rights reserved are the default copyright status for creative work is all rights reserved, and then it grants exclusive rights to the copyright holder. Then it prohibits others from using, reproducing, distributing the work without permission. So, it always say all rights reserved. That means to say all rights are reserved only with the person who is holding the copyright. Public domain, work not protected by copyright becomes public domain. You forgot to put C, then people will say no, it is not copyrighted. Then available for anyone to use freely without permission. Then it can include expired copyright, work with waived rights, or works created by the government. So, all these things come into the public domain over a period of time. So, can include expired copyrights, that is 70 years, works with waived rights, then also works created by the government. Government also it comes into the public domain. So, what is the Creative Commons licenses? It provide a range of permission beyond all rights reserved. Creative Commons licenses, it tries to provide a range of permission beyond all rights reserved. Then it allows creators to choose the level of control they want to retain over their work. Creative Commons licenses, right. So, the different licenses have different terms and conditions, such as allowing for non-commercial use, requiring attribution, or permitting modification. So, all these things are different licenses have different terms and conditions. Attribution, which is CC BY, allows others to use, modify and distribute the work, which is called as attribution. The other one is it requires attribution to the original creator as specified by them. So, it requires attribution to the original creator as specified by them. Non-commercial CC BY NC will be allows others to use and modify the work for non-commercial purpose. So, you can have CC BY NC, which is non-commercial purpose. Next, it is CC BY SA, allows others to use, modify and distribute the work. Others to use, modify and distribute the work. So, that is also possible here. Allows to use, modify and distribute the work, that is attribution CC BY. So, it provides that derivative work be shared under the same license terms. So, that is called as CC BY SA. So, under the same license terms you can try to do it. What is mechanical license? Mechanical license are, it grants permission to reproduce and distribute copyrighted musical compositions. That is called as mechanical license. Typically used as cover or new recording of existing songs. So, if somebody does a change in the music or change in that is called as mechanical license. Royalties are usually paid to the original songwriter or music publisher. Examples: a musician wanted to release a cover version of a popular song. they would need to obtain a mechanical license from the original songwriter or music publisher to legally reproduce and distribute their version of the song. If somebody does a modification of the song, then they have to get the rights from the company and then do it. A musician wanted to release a cover version of a popular song, they need to get the obtain mechanical license from the original songwriter. Okay. So, and the publisher. So, these are all part of copyrights. So, you also have mechanical licenses, you have public performing rights. So, in public performing rights, the exclusive rights to publicly perform copyrighted work is called as public performing rights. So, the exclusive right to the publicly perform copyrighted, say for example, if you are trying to play a music in public, so then it is called as the exclusive rights to publicly perform copyrighted work is public perform writing. Then pertaining to live performance. For example, if Michael Jackson sings a song and Michael Jackson is not there, then Ram Kumar wants to sing the song. So, then we go and get the public performing right. So, here it is on a public performance, right. Please understand, all these things are very important. If you breach it, then you are in trouble. Anybody can sue you for the irresponsible behaviors. So, a band can play their original song at live musical concert by exercising their public performing rights. Keep that in mind, public performing rights. So, before that we saw mechanical rights. So, they would need to obtain a mechanical license from the original songwriter or music player for legally reproducing it, right. So, this is mechanical. When we talk about the share alike, requires the derivative work be shared under the same license, shared alike, right. So, next one is public performance license. A license required to publicly perform copyrighted music in venues such as restaurant, bars, stores and public events. So, live performance, public performance. So, here it is public performance license means a license is required to perform in a restaurant, bar, stores or public. Obtained from Performance Right Commission PROs such as ASCAP, ASCAP, BMI and SESAC. So, these are the companies which tries to give the performance rights operations. The example is the restaurant owner needs to get a license from PRO, Performance Right Organization, to play a background music for their customers. Look at it, I do not know whether we follow it very stringently, but all these licenses has to be taken such that you can use this music in public. So, a restaurant owner needs to get license from PRO to play background music at in his restaurant for the customer. Reproduction rights, the exclusive right to authorize the reproduction of copyrighted work. So, for example, if somebody has published something, you try to get the license and then you try to reproduce. It includes making special copies or digital copies. So, reproduction right means I try to make multiple versions of the same audio CD and then I release it in the market. So, includes making public copies or digital copies. Next is synchronization license. Synchronization licenses grant permission to synchronize copyrighted music with visual media. Synchronization. So, you try to get the music, but you have a visual. So, what you do is you try to synchronize the copyright music with visual media. Used for adding music to films, TV songs, TV shows, advertisements, video games, etc. So, synchronization license is there. A filmmaker wants to use a specific copyrighted song in a scene of their movie. They would need to obtain a synchronization license from the original songwriter or music publisher to legally synchronize the music with the visual content of the film. So, we try to get synchronization license. Let us take a pause. We have seen so many licenses. Let us go around and see what are they. So, Creative Commons license, this is taken to create, to choose the level of control they wanted to retain over their work is Creative Commons license. Next one is attribution is use, modify, distribute is attribution CC BY. Then it is non-commercial CC BY. So, it is not for commercial work. Then it is share alike is same license which can be also used for a derivative work will be the share alike. Then you will have mechanical license wherein which you try to get to reproduce and distribute the copyrighted composition. You do it. Then you try to do public, the copyright on a public forum. Then public performance license. So, here perfect performance licenses in a bar, in a restaurant, in a store you try to do. So, the next one is going to be copyrights. So, it is an exclusive right to authorize the reproduction of a copyrighted work. So, here the physical copies are made. So, here it is like CDs, we used to copy it and then sell it. So, that is reproduction right. Synchronization right is with visual. Okay. You see so many licenses are there for copyrights. Next is patents. Exclusive grant exclusive rights to inventor for a specified period. Specified period, it can be 20, 25, 60, 75, etc. Some countries have some different things. So, grant exclusive rights to investigator for a specified period. It tries to protect new and useful inventions, processes, machines or improvement. There we apply for patent. In patent, you have three types. One is utility patent, process patent, design patent, which is only design, and then it is a plant patent. Plant patent is because now you have lot of grafting, gene therapy is given, seedless grapes are coming into existence, seedless apples are coming. So, all these things are plant patents. So, protect new varieties of plant that are asexually reproduced. So, that is plant patent. An example for plant patent. Suppose you want to make a wheelchair and wheelchair you try to redesign the wheelchair. So, that becomes a design patent. If you come out with a technology wherein which you try to drive a wheelchair, then that becomes a utility patent. Then patentable subject matter. The invention must be novel, non-obvious and having utility. It has to be non-obvious. It has to be non-obvious to a person who is using it. For example, if somebody comes with a cigarette lighter, and the cigarette lighter switching on and switching off is done by blowing air. First time you blow foo, it starts catching fire. Next time you do foo, it stops. So, here the blowing switching off is known, but blowing switching on is not known, right. So, here it is novel, it is non-obvious for even a person who is using lighter to blow and set the fire up, and then it has a utility. So, it can include products, processes, composition, machines, software algorithms, etc. The benefit of patent is it holds exclusive rights to prevent others from making, using or selling the invention without the person's knowledge. It prevents, you cannot do it, it is illegal. If I have protected a right and I hold the right for me, you can come to me and ask me to give permission such that I can use it, for which I get royalty or I get one-time settlement. So, royalty means every time when I try to sell it, so I get royalty. But many a times the royalty business is not working because the company then modifies the product and then they make it as their processes. So, then you do not get the royalty. So, many people try to sell it at one shot, a big grand sum, you settle the deal and then you take the money and close the product, go for another product. So, incentive for innovation and investment in research and R&D can be done by selling a patent and making money. The potential for commercialization and monetarization of the invention is a benefit of applying for patent. So, commercialization and monetarization. The patent application process, there is a long, well established, well laid patent application process. So, conducting a thorough prior art search is important. So, first the inventor himself does it, then it comes to the attorney, it comes to the lawyer. The lawyer once again does a thorough search, and then he tries to write it in a way such that it can be defended in the court. So, then the patenting attorney goes through the comments, goes through the evaluation, and then he says, let us put it in public domain for some time to see if there is anybody confronting on your claim. So, if somebody confronts, then they try to say, sorry, we will not be able to give you patent provided you sort out this query. If you are not able to sort out, it goes away. The other way around is, so that is used. So, then after 6 months time or 1 year time or 2 year time, depending upon country to country, then if nobody comes and claims that it is their idea or something, so then what they do is they try to officially declare and publish a patent for you, saying that, okay, Ram, you have made this particular process, this is a title, and the patent right for this process lies with you or with your team. So, so first is state of the art has to be done, that will be done by the inventor, and that will be also done by the lawyer. So, next is the drafting a patent application with detailed description and claims. So, the patenting lawyer tries to help you in drafting the patent application such that it can be defended in the law of court. Then filing the application with the relevant patent office, then examination process and possible amendments. If there are corrections, then the corrections are made it as amendments, and finally, you get granting or rejecting of patents. Whatever you file, it need not be granted. So, the grant rate majority of the time in good countries, it will be around about 50%. So, what people apply and what they get granted is 50% only. People are now trying to work hard, they are moving from 50 to 80, 80 to 90. Some countries, as and when you file, whatever is filed is new of its kind, the patent is granted. So, the six steps or the 5 steps are going to be conducting a thorough state of the art, then drafting an application, then filling the application and submitting at a relevant office, then examination and publishing, then there might be corrections which are amended, granting or rejection of the patent can happen. What is patent infringement? Somebody trying to copy the idea without the knowledge of me, or that is illegal breaching. So, that is called as patent infringement. So, unauthorized use, making or selling of a patented invention is patent infringement. Today, there is a huge business when people see somebody else infringing it, so then they make a fortune by filing a case against them. Okay. So, that is why patent applying also is very challenging. Suppose I and you start working on a similar idea from different parts of the world, we start working together, and then finally at the end of the day, both of us are trying to make a similar prototype or a patent application. We both are doing it. At that point of time, the attorney calls both of us, and then they say that please share your lab manual or lab notebook or whatever it is, where you have recorded step by step when you are applying for patent. So, it is always important when you are thinking of a novel idea that you are going to patent it, start entering it in a diary, and when you start entering in a diary, you sign and then get somebody else to sign along with your mentor. So, the somebody else is a third party who does not belong to your lab, he also signs it with the date. So, now this becomes a legal document. When there is a clash, you can throw the book or the notebook in front of the attorney saying that, see sir, I have been working on it, much senior to him or much elderly to him on the same area. So, the patent has to be given to me. So, at that point of time, the patent is granted to the person who has a document which says very clearly that he worked in it. The patent infringement is unauthorized use, and legal remedies are available to patent holders for infringement. So, the patent licensing, granting permission to others to use the patent invention in exchange of royalty or licensing fee is possible. So, people would nowadays prefer only licensing fee, one time settlement, they make a money and then they say end of the deal, they go away. So, it allows inventors to profit from their invention without manufacturing or marketing them directly is patent licensing. It allows inventors to profit from their inventions without manufacturing or marketing them directly. Okay, you make money out of it. So, the international patent protection, the patent application can be filed nationally or through international treaty such as PCTs, which is nothing but Patent Cooperation Treaty, PCTs, right. So, that means to say the patent can be filed country wise, it can be filed different countries, you will have to go to different countries, file an application and get it, so that you try to protect your idea getting stolen in those countries. So, for that internationally what we do is we try to always go for Patent Cooperation Treaty. So, the patent application can be filed nationally or through international PCTs. So, the different jurisdiction have their own patent laws and examination process. You can't say the patent got approved in India. So, when I apply in US, please approve it based on Indian application, Indian approval. They will say no, we fall under a different category, we will re-examine the patent and then we will try to give. So, different jurisdiction have their own patenting laws. So, what is a utility patent? Utility patent is protect functional and useful invention or process. For example, if somebody tries to design a pan like this, okay, a pan which is not circular, but it is in a hexagonal shape, due to hexagonal shape. So, now what will happen is this is a functional product. Okay. Generally if you say pan, it is always circular. Now, what if I make it like this? So, here the protect functional. So, this is a functional and useful invention or process. So, there they always go for utility patent. It covers a wide range of technological innovations across the various industries. Design patent is it protect ornamental or aesthetic design of the product. For example, on this, if I make color patterns like this, so then what happens is it protects ornamental and aesthetic designs of products. It covers the unique visual appearance, shape, surface ornamentation of an item. So, compared to utility, it works more on function. Here it looks for superficial, that is protect ornamental, then unique visual appearance, shape or surface ornamentation. Plant patents are those patents which used to protect new varieties of plants that are asexually reproduced, not sexually reproduced, asexually reproduced. So, these patents are very much useful only in plants, where in which they talk about new variety, new diversity, etc. It covers distinct, uniform and stable plant varieties created through a human intervention. What is software patent? So, till now we have seen three. So, one is utility patent, design patent. Design patent is all ornamental. For example, if you patent a pencil with lipstick here, so here it is a design patent. Design patent means tomorrow if somebody changes the flame size, changes the flame shape, changes the square box into a cuboidal box or a circular one. So, then it is called as design patent. Suppose the entire work is novel of its kind, you apply for a patent. So, then it is called as utility patent. So, cover the unique visual appearance, shape or surface the ornamentation of an item. Plant we have seen. Now let us move to software. The patents for software related invention, algorithms or computer implemented methods fall under software. There is a very subtle line difference between software getting patented and software getting copyright. So, patents for software related inventions, algorithms or computer implemented methods are part of software patents. It covers innovation, software processes, functions or other techniques, software patent. So, the last one is going to be subject to specific creation such as novelty, non-obviousness and industrial application. There we always go for software patent. There is also business method patent and pharmaceutical patent. The business method patent is generally given for patents for novel methods of doing business or conducting commercial activities. For example, if somebody plays in the market, dances and then sells a chocolate, so then it is conducting commercial activities, and this is a novel way. So, the patents for novel methods of doing business or conducting commercial activities falls under business method patent. So, it covers unique process, system or models that provide a business advantage. So, business advantage if it is there, then we go for business method patent, and many companies are not involved in business method patent. As far as innovative patents are concerned, we always look for design patent and process patent. These are the two places where in which we get. If you are trying to do for agriculture, then it is a different story. Then pharmaceutical patents for new drugs, pharmaceutical composition and therapeutic treatments, what is to be done are done under the heading of pharmaceutical patent. The protect innovation, pharmaceutical compound, formulation and medical treatments can be done by using pharmaceutical type patents. Often involve a rigorous regulatory approval process in addition to patent protection, because something happens, this gets into the body and it is life or death. So, we will always look for non-invasive. So, then often involves a rigorous regulatory approval process in addition to the patent protection, whatever it is. So, that is called as pharmaceutical patent. The next one is going to be biotechnology patent. So, here in the field of biotechnology and life sciences. So, here it was pharma and here it is field of biotechnology and life sciences. It covers genetically engaged organisms, DNA sequence, vaccination and diagnostic methods. So, all these things are part of biotechnology patent. So, here we try to do in the field of biotechnology and life sciences. Next is subject to specific requirements related to novelty, utility and disclosure in the area of biology. So, if you see the different types of patents, here are you will have national patent, international patent. International patents are called as PCTs. Then the different types of patents are going to be utility patent, design patent. Design patent it is very easy to take, and anything and everything small modification delta x you will get a design patent. But truly challenging what we want is utility patent. So, the next one is plant patent, then software patent, then it is biotechnology patent, then business model patent. So, we keep moving, then pharmaceutical and biotechnology. Now, let us see the specification of a patent. The patent is almost like a paper writing. You will have a title. This title describes and concise title summarizing the invention by the inventor is given. So, it is almost like giving a name to the baby. So, descriptive and concise title summarizing the invention by innovators is given in the title form. Then there is a small abstract we are supposed to write about 100 or 150 words stating that what is that we are going to do. So, summary highlighting its technical aspects and novelty is done. The third one is going to be background. So, here we try to describe the prior art and the technical field relevant to the invention. We try to write down prior art and the technical field relevant to the invention we try to do. Then summary, concise overview of the invention emphasizing the unique features and advantages are done. Invention and emphasizing its unique features and advantage. Next, a detailed description, summary. So, background and then summary you write, then you have a detailed description which talks about the possible result or possible way or possible invention you say. A comprehension explanation of the invention including its structure, operation and implementation is done. We will also have drawings. With these drawings which visual illustration, diagrams and the figure supporting the detailed description will be there. However, by looking at the drawing you cannot make it out how is the product look like, but smart people do make it up. Then claims, these are our claims you have to say. So, defining statements that precisely outlines the scope of the invention protection. So, the specifications are, first you give a title, then you try to give an abstract. After doing the abstract, you try to give them a state of the art, that means to say a prior art search. Then you try to say what is the solution you have in a superficial manner. Then you try to give a detailed solution. Then after you give a detailed solution, you have to consolidate, and once you consolidate, then you try to say what are your claims. So, claims are defining statements that precisely outlines the scope of the invention. So, if you see abstract and claims to some extent will overlap. So, there are dependent claims and independent claims. So, hierarchical structures of claims with independent and dependent claims can also be given. So, you make a claim and that claim can be independent, it is standalone, or this claim can have a prior claim as a dependent claim. There is one claim you did and the next claim you do, and if you take it standalone, the next claim it becomes null and void. So, you try to take a previous one and then try to link it. The patent figures, detailed visual representation of the investigation enhancing the understanding and supporting the claim will be there in the patent figures. References, yes, you have to give references because the references play a very important role to cross verify. So, citations of prior art, related patents or other relevant sources have to be added to the reference section. So, legal and technical informations, investigator name, assign investigator names, assignee, filling date, priority date, patent number and other legal or technical details are part of legal and technical information. Then examples or embodiments. So, here it talks about specific examples or embodiments like illustrating the application and implementation of the innovation. So, these are not mandate, but if you give it is good, but all the other things are mandate. Then the supporting documentation will be supplementary material that can be experimental data, table, additional information, whatever you want you give, it is possible. So, when we try to look at the specification of the patent, so you will try to have a title, abstract, background, summary, detailed description, then drawing, then claims. The claims can be two parts, it can be independent, dependent, patent figures. Then once everything is done, we talk about referees, then legal and technical information has to be given. Then they try to take the examples or embodiments, and then finally they try to space for supporting documents through which you did some experiments. Thank you very much.